When former President Trump said he wanted to buy Greenland, it sounded like a joke, right? Just this bizarre, almost comical headline. But what if I told you that story is actually about the future of AI, the massive paradox of climate change, and a new kind of global power struggle, one that's fought not with armies but with algorithms and big money investment funds? Okay, let's get into it.
So it all kicked off with statements just like this one. So simple, so direct, and absolutely made for grabbing headlines. When Trump first threw this idea out there back in 2019 and then doubled down on it, what seemed like just an off-the-cuff remark suddenly turned into a real, calculated geopolitical goal. But the big question, the one we're all asking is, why? Why Greenland?
And that is the absolute core mystery we're going to unravel right now. I mean, what is it about this huge frozen island that suddenly made it the center of attention for world leaders, for tech billionaires, and even military planners? Well, the answer isn't on the surface. Nope, it's buried deep, deep under all that ice.
Okay, so to really get what the prize is, first you've got to understand the place itself. And Greenland, well, it's a land of incredible extremes, and that is absolutely central to this whole story. All right, let's start with this number. Just 57,000. That's the entire population of Greenland. To put that in perspective, that's smaller than a lot of college stadiums. Just let that number sink in for a second. Because that tiny population, they live on a landmass of over 2 million square kilometers. That's, more than 3 times the size of France? So you've got this vast, practically empty island that is just sitting on immense, untapped potential. And that potential, it has a name.
The prize is rare earth elements. And you can think of these as the secret ingredients, the vitamins of the 21st century. Now, the name is a little misleading. They're not always that rare in the ground. The problem is they are incredibly difficult and, frankly, really messy to mine and process. And here's the kicker. Our entire modern world literally runs on this stuff.
Yeah, just look at this. We're talking about everything. The phone in your pocket, the electric car you might be eyeing, the wind turbines that are supposed to power our green future, and, this is the big one, the super powerful hardware that you need to run massive AI data centers. The bottom line is this: if you want to be a leader in technology today, you absolutely must have a secure supply of these metals. No way around it.
So, this is where the geopolitics really kicks in. Right now, China completely dominates the rare earth market. We're talking about 60% of the world's mining, and they control even more of the really complicated processing part. For a country like the US, that's a huge strategic problem, a real vulnerability. And that explains the desperate, urgent search for another source, an alternative, like, say, Greenland.
But hold on, because this isn't just a story about governments and presidents. While all the politicians were making headlines, a much quieter and frankly much wealthier group of people were already making moves. They were on the ground, following a money trail that leads straight to, you guessed it, Silicon Valley. And who are these investors? We're talking about the absolute titans of technology. People like Sam Altman, Bill Gates, Peter Thiel, Jeff Bezos. For years, they've been quietly pouring millions into Greenland. And it makes perfect sense, right? Altman needs this stuff for his AI ambitions, Gates needs it for green energy, Bezos for his massive data centers. They all need what's buried under Greenland's ice. And get this, their ambition goes way beyond just digging stuff out of the ground. Some of these guys have this wild vision for Greenland as a freedom city. Basically, a libertarian tech utopia with almost zero corporate rules. Just picture it. AI research hubs, autonomous everything, a low-regulation paradise built literally on top of a melting glacier. It sounds like sci-fi, but they're serious.
So, you might be asking, how are they even finding this stuff under miles of ice? Well, the key is a company called Kobold Metals. It's a startup, and it's backed by, surprise, surprise, Gates, Bezos, and Bloomberg. And what they do is they use AI to find mineral deposits. It's like a super-powered treasure map. The AI crunches all this satellite and geological data to tell them exactly where to dig. It's the perfect tech for a place as wild and unpredictable as Greenland. Okay, all of this brings us to a huge question. Why Greenland, and why now? What's changed? And the answer is, well, it's both deeply ironic and pretty tragic. It's all happening because of climate change.
And this right here is the central paradox of the whole situation. On the one hand, the climate crisis is absolutely devastating Greenland's traditional fishing economy. That's over 90% of their exports. But on the other hand, that same melting ice is exposing all these incredibly valuable rare earth minerals that were locked away and impossible to get to. It's like one door is slamming shut and another, much more lucrative and much more dangerous, doors creaking open.
And as Professor Bakhtchoglu points out,
We're not talking about some distant future problem. This is happening right now. The whole ecosystem is being disrupted, and that disruption is what created this huge economic crisis for Greenland. It's forced them to look for other options. And that, of course, has made them either vulnerable or maybe just open to this new wave of investors who are hungry for resources.
Okay, but let's shift gears for a second to maybe the most important perspective in this whole story, the Greenlandic people themselves. Because they are not just watching this happen. They're at a crossroads, facing a truly monumental choice about their own future.
And to really get their dilemma, you have to understand their history. For a very long time, Greenland has had this completely legitimate dream of gaining full independence from Denmark. So this whole drama is playing out against the backdrop of a nation trying, finally, to control its own destiny after centuries of being a colony. And this is where it gets really complicated. Greenland isn't just a passive victim in all of this. Their own government's official strategy is to actively go after foreign investment, especially from the US. They see it as the main path to building an economy that's strong enough to finally be independent. So in a way, they're the ones who sent out the invitation to the very people now knocking at their door.
Which brings all these different threads together into one final and pretty troubling question. Is this path really the road to freedom, or is it just a very old trap dressed up in a shiny modern disguise?
Professor Baklioglu calls this the trap of modern colonialism. And it goes something like this. Step 1, a nation wants its independence, a noble goal. Step 2, to build its economy, it opens its doors wide to foreign investment and free trade. But then, Step 3, powerful global corporations rush in, they pull out all the valuable resources, and very little benefit stays local. And what's the end result? The nation finds itself just as dependent as before, only this time it's not a kin calling the shots, it's a corporate board of directors thousands of miles away.
And the potential consequences here are, well, they're pretty stark. That messy, often toxic process of mining rare earths could turn this beautiful, pristine landscape into what the professor calls a chemical dumping ground. That is a terribly high price to pay for an independence that might not even be real in the end.
So that leaves us right here, with this one massive question. As the ice keeps melting, revealing literally trillions of dollars worth of resources, can Greenland play this incredibly high-stakes game and actually forge its own future? Or is it just trading one colonial master for another, on its way to becoming the very first resource colony of the AI age?